She was an alien assassin sent to kill me, but her plans changed when she looked at me. The artificial dawn was creeping through the panoramic windows of my luxury apartment on level 42 of New Avalon Station. The massive space station, home to over 10 million souls, was just beginning its day cycle. I lay in bed enjoying those precious moments between sleep and wakefulness when something made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Years of military training kicked in. Someone was watching me. I kept my breathing steady, maintaining the illusion of sleep while my mind raced through possibilities. The station's security was top-notch. I should know, having designed half the protocols myself. Breaking into a high-ranking intelligence officer's quarters should have been impossible. Yet here we were. The presence moved closer, silent as space itself. I could almost feel the predatory intent radiating from whoever or whatever was approaching. The light gray sheet covering my naked form suddenly felt like poor protection indeed. My eyes snapped open, meeting a pair of startled amber ones. Time seemed to freeze as I took in the sight before me. A stunning humanoid woman with emerald skin that seemed to shimmer in the artificial dawn. Her long, wavy black hair cascaded over a black assassin's corset that left little to the imagination. Well, I drawled, trying to ignore my rather obvious morning condition. This is awkward. Her exotic features contorted in surprise, then a suspicion. "Don't move!" she hissed, brandishing a wicked-looking knife. "What's under that sheet? A weapon? Did they warn you I was coming?" I couldn't help but chuckle, which was probably not the wisest response to an armed assassin. The only weapon under here is, standard male equipment. Morning variety. Her amber eyes narrowed dangerously. "You mock me? Who sold me out?" She took a threatening step forward. "Prepare yourself for—" "Look," I interrupted, raising my hand slowly. "I'm completely unarmed and naked, and if you'd like proof of either statement, I'm happy to—" She lunged forward with impressive speed, but I was ready. Years of combat training don't disappear just because you're in the buff. I rolled to the side, taking the sheet with me, and managed to catch her wrist as she struck. We grappled briefly before ending up in a rather compromising position, her straddling me, her knife hand restrained, the sheet barely preserving my modesty. That's when I noticed her cheeks darkening to a deeper shade of green. Her amber eyes widened, and for a moment, she looked less like a deadly assassin and more like a woman who just realized she was sitting on a naked man. I didn't, she stammered, then practically leaped off me. Before I could say another word, she disappeared through my window, leaving me alone with my thoughts in a rather persistent physiological condition. Well, I muttered to myself, that's one hell of a way to start the day. After my unexpected morning visitor, I spent the next few hours diving deep into New Avalon's security feeds and intelligence networks. Being the station's chief of intelligence operations had its perks, including unrestricted access to pretty much everything. I was midway through my third cup of synthetic coffee when my comm unit chimed. "Commander Norrington," Admiral Richardson's gruff voice filled my office. "Emergency meeting, council chamber." Now, interesting timing. I straightened my uniform and headed for the station's diplomatic sector. The council chamber, with its sweeping views of the starfield beyond, housed New Avalon's governing body. As I approached, I noticed unusually tight security. Something big was happening. Inside, I found the chamber already filled with the station's highest-ranking officials. Admiral Richardson, his silver hair immaculate as always, stood at the head of the massive oval table. But what caught my attention was the delegation seated to his right. There, in a form-fitting diplomatic uniform that somehow managed to be both professional and alluring, sat my would-be assassin. Our eyes met. Her amber gaze widened slightly, a deeper shade of green coloring her cheeks. To her credit, she maintained her composure, though her knuckles whitened as she gripped the edge of the table. "Commander Norrington," Admiral Richardson nodded, "meet Ambassador Luria from the Emerald Conclave. She's here to discuss some concerning developments." I took my seat directly across from her. "Ambassador," I said smoothly, enjoying the way she tensed at my voice. "We really must stop meeting like this." A few confused looks passed between the other officials. Luria's eyes narrowed. "Commander," she replied, her voice honey over steel, "I assure you our previous encounter was not sanctioned by the Conclave." "Fascinating," I drawled, and here I thought early morning assassination attempts were standard diplomatic protocol. Admiral Richardson's head snapped toward Luria. Ambassador, would you care to explain? She maintained her poise admirably. A misunderstanding, Admiral. Certain elements within our society believe Commander Norrington's new security protocols threaten our traditional practices. Traditional practices? I couldn't help but interject. Is that what we're calling attempted murder now? Our ways are not yours, Commander, she shot back, a hint of passion breaking through her diplomatic veneer. The dance of blades is an honored tradition among my people. When one of sufficient status draws our attention, they send an assassin. Admiral Richardson looked apoplectic. We send our best, Luria corrected, her eyes never leaving mine. To test, to evaluate, to assess compatibility. I leaned forward, genuinely intrigued. Compatibility? Among my people, Commander, leadership is proven through combat prowess. When we identify a potential, she paused, choosing her words carefully, diplomatic partner, we must first ensure they are worthy. By trying to kill them? By engaging them in intimate combat, she clarified, that deeper green blush returning. The outcome is less important than the interaction itself. The implications hit me like a plasma burst. So this morning was a traditional first contact protocol. She managed to look both embarrassed and proud, though I admit the circumstances were unexpected. Admiral Richardson rubbed his temples. Let me get this straight. You attempted to assassinate my chief of intelligence as some sort of alien courtship ritual? The Emerald Conclave has been monitoring Commander Norrington since he implemented the new security protocols, Luria explained. His efficiency, his strategic mind, She glanced at me. Physical capabilities caught our attention. And you couldn't just send a dinner invitation, I asked, fighting back a grin. Where would be the fun in that? For the first time, a smile played at her lips. Besides, Commander, you handled yourself admirably this morning, despite being at a significant disadvantage. The meeting continued, discussing security arrangements and diplomatic protocols, but Luria and I maintained our subtle dance of glances and loaded comments. When we finally adjourned, I caught her in the corridor. Ambassador, I called out, about this morning. She turned and suddenly the diplomatic mask fell away. You surprised me, she admitted. Most men, when confronted with an armed assassin, don't flirt. Most assassins don't blush so beautifully when straddling their targets. That lovely green flush returned. You are either very brave or very foolish, Commander Norrington. I prefer to think of it as adaptable. I stepped closer. So this dance of blades, is it a one-time performance or more of an ongoing arrangement? The next few weeks on New Avalon Station became an intricate dance of diplomacy and desire. Luria and I maintained our professional facades during official meetings, but our cultural exchange sessions, as we officially termed our private meetings, grew increasingly intimate. Your species' courtship rituals are fascinating. Luria mused one evening in my quarters, sipping earth wine. She'd traded her diplomatic uniform for a flowing emerald dress that matched her skin. So much emphasis on words and gestures rather than combat prowess. Says the woman who tried to stab me as a hello, I teased, enjoying how her amber eyes sparkled with amusement. Yet here we are, she countered, moving closer. Perhaps both our methods have merit. Our growing closeness hadn't gone unnoticed. The first warning came via an encrypted message on my terminal. The Emerald hierarchy disapproves of cross-species contamination. Cease this liaison or face consequences. Luria received similar threats. The purest faction believes mixing with humans will dilute our warrior heritage, she explained, pacing my office. They're powerful, Damien, and dangerous. More dangerous than you? I caught her hand, pulling her close. This isn't a joke, she whispered, though she didn't pull away. They've already attempted to recall me. When I refuse, citing diplomatic immunity, she hesitated. What happened? My sister sent a warning. There's talk of declaring me blade fallen, an outcast. They'd send hunters. I tightened my hold on her. Let them try. That night, everything changed. What began as a strategic discussion evolved into something more primal, more intense. Cultural barriers fell away as ancient instincts took over. The joining of human and emerald physiology proved surprisingly compatible, though we both had much to learn about each other's preferences and sensitive spots. Afterward, Lying in the starlight, Luria traced patterns on my chest. "Among my people, this would make us life-bonded," she murmured. "Is that a proposal, Ambassador?" Before she could answer, my security systems blared. Multiple breaches on multiple levels. "They're here," Luria leapt up, her warrior instincts taking over. "The purest hunters." "How many?" "Standard hunting party is 6. She was already moving, fluid as quicksilver. "They'll try to separate us, divide and conquer." I accessed my security feeds. 8 hostiles, actually. They're good, bypassing security through maintenance shafts. 8, Luria paled slightly. "They sent a royal hunt. Damien, this is beyond serious. They only send royal hunts for the highest traders." "Then they're about to learn why humans don't appreciate uninvited guests." I activated my emergency protocols, especially when they threaten someone we care about. Luria's eyes widened at my words, but there wasn't time to discuss implications. We dressed quickly, her in her combat suit, me in tactical gear. "They'll expect us to run or hashu," Luria said, checking her weapons. I grinned. "Then let's disappoint them. Computer, initiate Protocol Omega. Authorization Norrington 7 Alpha." The lights throughout my sector dimmed to combat levels. Emergency bulkheads began sealing, creating a controlled battleground. "You planned for this," Luria realized. "I planned for everything. It's why your people found me interesting, remember?" I handed her a modified plasma pistol. "Human ingenuity combined with emerald combat skills. Want to show these purists why cross-species cooperation has its benefits?" Her answering smile was predatory. "My deadly human," she purred. "I do believe you're trying to seduce me again." "Is it working?" A proximity alarm cut off her response. The hunters had arrived. The station's maintenance corridors became our battlefield. Through my neural link to New Avalon systems, I watched the Emerald Hunters split into pairs, exactly as we predicted. Their overconfidence would be their undoing. "They're using standard royal hunt formations," Luria whispered, her body pressed against mine in the narrow service shaft. "But they've never hunted a human Emerald team before." "Then let's educate them." I activated the first trap sequence. "Your people believe humans are inferior, right?" She smiled wickedly. "They're about to learn otherwise." The first pair of hunters triggered our carefully laid trap in Section 7. The malfunction in the environmental controls flooded their corridor with dense fog, standard procedure for containing atmospheric breaches. What wasn't standard were the sonic pulses we'd calibrated to the specific frequency that disrupted Emerald inner ear balance. Through the security feeds, we watched them stumble. Their superior combat training meant nothing when they couldn't stand straight. "Elegant," Luria approved, "using our own physiological weaknesses against us." "I pay attention to detail," I murmured, letting my fingers trace the sensitive spot behind her ear that I discovered during our more intimate moments. She shivered. "Focus, my clever human," she breathed, though her amber eyes darkened with desire. "We have 6 more hunters to eliminate." The next pair fell for the oldest trick in the human book. They followed the obvious escape route. The maintenance shaft they chose, however, had been specially modified. One moment they were advancing cautiously, the next they were trapped in quick hardening foam designed to counter Emerald strength. "Your people rely too much on direct confrontation," I explained as we moved to our next position. "Humans learned long ago that superior force isn't always the answer." "Is that why you let me win that first morning?" Luria teased me, her movements fluid and predatory even in the confined space. "Let you win?" "I seem to recall you running away." "Tactical retreat," she corrected, then grew serious, "though I'm glad I came back." "So am I." The moment stretched between us, charged with everything we hadn't yet said. A proximity alert broke the spell. 2 more hunters were approaching our position. "They're learning," Luria noted. "These 2 are using human-style tactical movements." "Good. Time for some Emerald-style direct confrontation then." We engaged the next pair in close combat, our fighting styles perfectly complementary. Luria's fluid grace matched my calculated precision. Months of sparring, both martial and intimate, had taught us each other's rhythms. The hunters, expecting to face separated prey, found themselves outmatched by our synchronized assault. "Beautiful," one of the downed hunters spat blood, staring at Luria. "You've even learned to move like them." "No," she corrected, her voice cold. "I've learned to move with him. There's a difference." The last 4 hunters proved more challenging. They'd adapted to our tactics and using their superior numbers to force us into defensive positions. They're hurting us, Luria realized as we retreated down another corridor, toward the outer hull sections. Good, I grinned. That's exactly where I want them. Damien, she knew that tone. What did you do? Remember how I said humans learn superior force isn't always the answer? I activated my final protocol. Sometimes it absolutely is. The outer hull sections were designed to withstand massive structural damage. They were also equipped with emergency gravity plating that could be reversed in case of hull breach. The hunters didn't expect the artificial gravity to suddenly multiply by 4. Their enhanced emerald physiology, usually an advantage, now worked against them as their denser muscle mass betrayed them. Surrender, I announced over the comm, or the gravity keeps increasing. Even emerald bones have their breaking point. The fight ended not with violence, but with grudging respect. As station security took the hunters into custody, Luria pulled me into a maintenance alcove. You continue to surprise me, she said, her fingers tracing my jaw. Using our strengths against us, turning our assumptions into weapons. I had excellent motivation. I drew her closer. No one threatens what's mine. Her eyes flashed. Yours? Unless you object. Her answer involved considerably less talking and considerably more physical demonstration of exactly how little she objected. 2 weeks after our victory over the hunters, I found Luria in my quarters, staring at a medical hologram with an expression I'd never seen before. The projection showed 2 intertwined DNA helixes, one human, one emerald, forming an entirely new pattern. Impossible, she whispered, though the evidence floated before us. The genetic barriers should be insurmountable? I moved behind her, wrapping my arms around her waist. Like the cultural barriers? The political ones? The physical ones? She leaned back against me, her usual confidence replaced by something more vulnerable. This is different, Damien. This is a miracle, I suggested, watching the holographic strands dance. A complication, she corrected, though her hands covered mine protectively. No human emerald hybrid has ever been conceived naturally. The purists will see this as confirmation of their worst fears. And what do you see it as? She turned in my arms, her amber eyes meeting mine. I see proof that the universe has a sense of humor. The assassin sent to kill you is carrying your child. I couldn't help but laugh. Well, when you put it that way, this isn't funny, but she was fighting a smile. Do you have any idea what this means? The political implications alone? I silenced her with a kiss, slow and thorough. When we parted, her eyes had that wonderfully dazed look I'd come to cherish. The political implications, I said firmly, can wait. Right now, I want to know how you feel about this. Not Ambassador Luria of the Emerald Conclave. Just Luria, the woman who broke into my quarters and changed my life. She hesitated, then squared her shoulders. I'm terrified and excited and angry at myself for being excited because by all rational measures, this should be impossible. Yet here we are, and all I can think is how perfectly it fits us. Breaking barriers seems to be our specialty. That it does. I guided her to the viewport where New Avalon's lights sparkled against the void. You know, humans have a saying, life finds a way. Your species has an oddly poetic approach to biological impossibilities, she observed dryly. Says the woman who tried to stab me as a courtship ritual. That was different. I was following established protocols for evaluating potential mates. Her indignation faded into thoughtfulness. Though I suppose this outcome does validate my initial assessment of your genetic quality. I'm flattered, I think. I pulled her closer. So, what's the Emerald Protocol for this situation? There isn't one. We're in uncharted territory. She traced patterns on my chest, a habit she'd developed during our more intimate moments. Traditionally, an Emerald warrior who successfully bears a child of significant genetic value is honored with elevation to the maternal guard. And a child that represents the first viable human Emerald hybrid would be considered either an abomination or a miracle, depending on who you ask. Her smile turned predatory. Fortunately, I've never much cared what others think, especially now that I know how creative humans can be in dealing with opposition. The way she said creative sent heat through my blood. Speaking of creativity, Her amber eyes darkened with desire. Are you suggesting we celebrate our impossible achievement? I'm suggesting we continue to defy expectations in the most enjoyable way possible. What followed was a passionate affirmation of our connection, made more intense by the knowledge of what we'd created together. Later, as we lay tangled in sheets, Luria traced the battle scars on my chest. The purists will come again, she murmured. They'll see this child as the ultimate threat to emerald purity. Let them come, I kissed her temple. We've already proven we're stronger together, and now we have even more reason to fight. My fierce, clever human, she purred, always ready for battle. Only when protecting what matters. I placed my hand over her abdomen. And this matters more than anything. The colony world of New Eden lived up to its name. Pristine beaches stretched beneath twin moons, while bioluminescent forests painted the nights in ethereal colors. It was about as far from New Avalon's sterile corridors as you could get, which was exactly why we chose it. Your idea of a honeymoon destination is surprisingly romantic, Luria teased as we settled into our beachfront home. 3 months had passed since our hasty departure from the station, and her pregnancy was beginning to show, giving her an otherworldly glow that made my heart race. I'm full of surprises, I replied, unpacking our security systems. Old habits die hard. Besides, what better place to hide than a paradise world? Hide? She arched an eyebrow. Is that what we're doing? I paused my work to pull her close. Strategic retreat. Wasn't that your term? Her laugh turned into a contented purr as I massaged the small of her back, where the pregnancy was causing her the most discomfort. You're learning our ways too well, my clever human. Life on New Eden fell into a pleasant rhythm. Our mornings began with combat training, modified to accommodate Luria's condition, but no less intense. She insisted maintaining her warrior edge was crucial for an emerald mother, and I wasn't about to argue. Afternoons were spent exploring the planet's mysteries. The local flora exhibited unusual properties that seemed to respond to emerald biochemistry. More intriguingly, some plants reacted to our hybrid child's unique genetic signature. The universe is full of secrets, Luria mused one evening as we watched the bioluminescent pollen dance on the breeze. Perhaps our child isn't as impossible as we thought. Just improbable, I suggested, drawing her between my legs as we sat on our veranda. Precisely. She leaned back against my chest, guiding my hands to her growing belly. Though I'm beginning to think humans have a gift for making the improbable happen. Is that a compliment? Don't let it go to your head. But her tone was fond. It's simply an observation. Your species has an unusual talent for adaptation, for finding solutions where none should exist. I nuzzled her neck, enjoying how she melted against me. Like figuring out how to successfully mate with a deadly alien assassin? You're never going to let me forget that, are you? Would you want me to? Her answer was to turn and kiss me with the same passion that had characterized our first encounter, minus the knife this time. Later that night, as we lay wrapped in each other's arms, a familiar alert tone broke the peace. My security systems had detected approaching ships. They found us, Luria said, instantly alert despite our previous activities. No, I corrected, checking the readings. They didn't. These are commercial vessels, a research expedition. They're not even heading for this continent. She relaxed slightly. We can't hide forever, Damien. We don't need forever. I stroked her abdomen. Just long enough for our little miracle to arrive safely. Then we can face whatever comes next together. And what if what comes next is war? The purists won't accept this child's existence. They'll see it as proof that humans are corrupting their precious genetic legacy. Then they'll learn what happens when you threaten a human's family. My voice turned hard. We're not just protective, we're creative about it. She turned to face me, her amber eyes glowing in the moonlight. You continue to fascinate me. Most species would be terrified of bearing a hybrid child with an alien race. Yet here you are, planning battle strategies to protect something that shouldn't even exist. That's humanity for you. We see impossible things as challenges to overcome. Is that why you didn't reject me? Even after I tried to kill you? I saw something worth fighting for. I traced the curve of her cheek. Still do. Her response was to show me exactly how much she appreciated that attitude. leading to another passionate celebration of our unique bond. The first sign something was unusual came during Luria's 7th month. I woke to find her studying her reflection in our bedroom's full-length mirror, her hands pressed against her swollen abdomen. The bioluminescent flora outside cast an ethereal glow across her emerald skin. "The child is adapting," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "I can feel it changing, responding to both our genetic patterns." I moved behind her, placing my hands over hers. "Is that dangerous? For a normal pregnancy?" "Absolutely, but this," She guided my hands to a specific spot. "Feel that? The energy signature is unlike anything in Emerald medical records." The spot beneath my fingers pulsed with warmth, reminiscent of the strange flora we discovered in New Eden's forest. "We need an expert." The only experts who wouldn't immediately report us to the purists are on the forbidden roster of the Emerald Conclave. Her amber eyes met mine in the mirror. "Although, you know someone? Remember how I said I wasn't the only one who questioned our species' isolation policies?" A sly smile curved her lips. "There's a reason I was such an effective assassin. I had help learning human patterns." "You're telling me there are other emeralds who've been studying humans? Intimately?" Her laugh was rich with promise. "Jealous, my fierce human? Should I be?" She turned in my arms, pressing against me in a way that made thinking difficult. "You tell me, did I try to kill any of them? I thought that was just your people's version of flirting." No, you were special." Her fingers traced patterns on my chest. "Something about you called to me from the moment I saw you. It's why I hesitated that first morning. And here I thought it was my natural charm. That came later." She kissed me with the same intensity that had characterized our relationship from the start, along with other impressive qualities. When we finally caught our breath, she continued, "There's a research outpost on the dark side of New Eden's smaller moon. Officially, it doesn't exist. Unofficially, it's where some of our most radical scientists study cross-species compatibility." "How radical are we talking?" "Let's just say I'm not the first emerald to find humans intriguing, just the first to successfully conceive." The implications were staggering. "Your people have been studying human emerald reproduction. Among other things, the purist would have you believe our species are completely incompatible. The truth is more complex." She guided my hand back to her abdomen. "Our child is proof of that." The warmth under my fingers had intensified. "We need to reach this outpost." "It's not that simple. The security protocols are probably similar to the ones I designed for New Avalon," I grinned, "which you bypassed quite effectively, if you recall." Her eyes darkened at the memory. "That was different. I was motivated." "And we're not motivated now?" The energy pulse beneath my hand suddenly spiked, making Luria gasp. "The child, it's accelerating. The genetic integration is happening faster than it should. Can you hold out until we reach the outpost?" Her warrior spirit blazed in her eyes. "Try to stop me." We spent the night preparing, though preparing included several passionate interludes. Luria insisted physical connection helped stabilize the child's energy patterns. Who was I to argue? By dawn, we had a plan. The outpost location was masked by a sophisticated cloaking system, but Luria's genetic signature would get us past the initial scanners. After that, we'd have to improvise. "Your people really love their secrets," I observed as we boarded our small shuttle. Says the intelligence officer who designed an entire station's security protocols. She settled into the co-pilot seat, her movements still graceful despite her advanced pregnancy. "Besides, secrets kept us alive when the purists gained power. And now those secrets might save our child." I initiated launch sequences. "Ready?" Her hand found mine. "With you?" "Always." The lunar research facility materialized before us like a mirage, its crystalline architecture blending seamlessly with the moon's natural formations. As our shuttle touched down in a hidden hangar, we were met by a sight I never expected. A mixed group of humans and emeralds, working together as equals. "Welcome," a distinguished-looking emerald male stepped forward. "I am Director Thane. We've been expecting you." Luria tensed beside me. "How? My dear? Did you really think you were the first of our kind to fall for human charm?" His amber eyes twinkled. "Though I must say, you're the first to achieve viable conception naturally." "Naturally," I echoed, supporting Luria as another energy pulse from our child made her stumble. Come, Thane gestured toward the facility's interior. There's much you need to know, and your child's accelerated development suggests we have limited time. The facility's corridors were lined with stasis chambers containing what appeared to be historical records, some dating back centuries. But what caught my attention were the genetic maps displayed on floating holograms, showing the gradual convergence of human and emerald DNA. The purists would have us believe our species are fundamentally incompatible, Thane explained as we walked. The truth is far more fascinating. We've been compatible all along. We simply needed the right catalyst. Love, I suggested, half joking. Actually, yes. A human female in a researcher's uniform joined us. Dr. Jennifer Curtis. I've been studying human emerald pair bonding for 20 years. The emotional connection creates subtle changes in both species biochemistry, making genetic integration possible. But not easy, Luria noted, her hand pressed against her abdomen. No, Jennifer agreed, which is why your child is so remarkable. You achieved naturally what we've been trying to engineer for centuries. We entered a vast chamber filled with ancient artifacts and genetic samples. At its center stood a massive DNA helix hologram showing the gradual merger of human and emerald genetic codes. Our species have been drawn to each other since first contact, Thane continued. The purists didn't create the separation, they merely enforced it. But nature, it seems, has other plans. The child's energy signature, Luria suddenly gasped. It's responding to something here. Several artifacts in the chamber began to glow with the same pulsing energy we'd observed in our unborn child. Jennifer rushed to check her readings. Incredible, she breathed. The hybrid DNA is acting as a key, activating dormant sequences in both parent species. Meaning? I asked, holding Luria close as she trembled with another energy surge. Meaning your child isn't just a successful hybrid, Thane explained. It's the next step in both our species' evolution, the fulfillment of an ancient potential we'd forgotten we possessed. How romantic, Luria managed through gritted teeth. Our assassination-turned love story is actually an evolutionary imperative. I couldn't help but laugh. Disappointed it wasn't just my irresistible charm? Her answer was to pull me into a fierce kiss that made several nearby instruments spark with sympathetic energy. Fascinating, Jennifer murmured, studying her readings. The emotional connection directly affects the energy output. It's as if, perhaps we could continue this discussion after stabilizing my patient. A new voice interrupted. Another emerald female, clearly a medical professional, entered the chamber. I'm Dr. Maraxa, and you two are about to make history. Again. The next few hours were a blur of medical procedures and energy stabilization protocols. Throughout it all, Luria refused to let go of my hand, our connection seemingly vital to maintaining the child's stable energy pattern. You know, she whispered during a quiet moment, when I broke into your quarters that morning, I never imagined it would lead to this. No regrets? Her answer was to guide my hand to where our child's energy pulsed strongly, steadily. Only that I waited so long to fail my mission. The attack came just as Luria's labor began. The facility's alarms blared while the hybrid energy from our child reached unprecedented levels, creating aurora-like patterns across the medical bay ceiling. Purist warships, Director Thane announced, rushing into the room. They've somehow tracked the energy signature. We have multiple boarding parties attempting to breach. A massive explosion rocked the facility, cutting him off. Through the observation windows, we could see Purist dropships deploying troops in full battle armor. Perfect timing, Luria growled through another contraction. Nothing like a fight to make birth more interesting. You're not fighting anyone, I insisted, though I couldn't help but admire her warrior spirit. Even in labor, she was reaching for her weapons. Then you better protect us, my fierce human. She grabbed my collar, pulling me close. Because I refuse to let them harm our child? The energy pulses from her abdomen had become visible now, creating a protective field that made the medical equipment spark and dance. Dr. Maraxa's eyes widened as she checked her readings. The hybrid energy, it's responding to the threat and to your emotional states. Love is a weapon? I asked, remembering our earlier conversation about emotional connections affecting the energy output. More like love is a shield, Jennifer added, frantically working at her console. The energy field is expanding, creating a defensive barrier around the medical bay. Another explosion rocked the facility, closer this time. Through the chaos, I could hear the sounds of combat, the facility's defenders engaging the purist boarding parties. Damien. Luria's voice was strained but determined. Remember how we met? Kind of hard to forget an assassin breaking into my bedroom. Remember what changed? What made me hesitate? I met her amber eyes, understanding dawning. You looked at me. Really looked at me. The connection was instant, she gasped through another contraction, like something ancient recognizing its other half. The genetic resonance, Jennifer exclaimed. That's it. The hybrid energy responds to genuine emotional bonds. The stronger the connection, the stronger the defense, Thane finished. Which means... I didn't wait for him to complete the thought. I kissed Luria with all the passion that had built since that first morning, pouring every ounce of love and protective instinct into our connection. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The hybrid energy field exploded outward, visible now as a shimmering dome of iridescent power. Where it touched the advancing purist forces, their weapons simply ceased functioning. Their armor, designed to enhance emerald combat abilities, went dark. By the ancestors, Thane breathed, it's not just defensive, it's selective. It's only affecting those with hostile intent. Through our connection, I could feel Luria's satisfaction. Show them, she whispered against my lips. Show them why I chose you. The next few hours were a blur of intensity. Luria's labor progressing while the hybrid energy field, powered by our bond, kept the purist forces at bay. They tried everything. Energy weapons, sonic disruptors, even ancient ritual blades. Nothing penetrated the shield of our combined love. This is impossible, we heard one purist commander rage through the facility's comm system. No human emerald abomination should have this power. That's where you're wrong, Luria shouted back between pushes. It's not the child's power alone. It's ours, all of ours. Every human and emerald who dared to love across your artificial boundaries. As if in response to her words, the energy field pulsed stronger, and we noticed something remarkable. The facility's other human emerald couples were generating their own smaller fields, linking together, strengthening the barrier. It's a network, Jennifer realized, her scientific excitement breaking through even in the crisis. Every genuine human emerald bond creates a resonance. Your child just showed us how to access it. Finally, gloriously, our child entered the world, a perfect blend of both species. Her skin a subtle marble of human and emerald tones, her eyes shifting between my dark brown and Luria's amber. The moment she took her first breath, the energy field crystallized, becoming an impenetrable barrier that even the most fanatical purist couldn't deny. Look at her, Luria whispered as I held them both. She's everything they feared, and everything we hoped. 1 year after our daughter's dramatic arrival, we stood in the grand chamber of the Emerald Conclave, watching history reshape itself. The same energy that had protected us during her birth now filled the ancient hall with a soft, iridescent glow, a visible reminder of the changes sweeping through both our societies. Ready for your speech, Commander? Luria adjusted my formal uniform's collar, her touch lingering in that way that still sent electricity through my veins. As ready as one can be when telling an entire civilization they've been wrong for centuries. I caught her hand, kissing her palm. Sure you don't want to do it? You're the one who started this revolution. By failing to assassinate you? Her amber eyes sparkled with mischief. Hardly the most diplomatic opening line. Our daughter Aurora cooed from her floating bassinet, her skin shimmering with that unique marble pattern of human and emerald tones. The hybrid energy that had once been seen as impossible now flowed naturally between the three of us, a constant reminder of what love could achieve. The great doors opened, revealing the assembled delegates, purists and progressives, humans and emeralds, all gathered to witness the formal recognition of cross-species unions. Director Thane stood at the podium, his presence a bridge between the old ways and the new. A year ago, he began, we witnessed something our sciences said was impossible. We saw the power of genuine connection overcome centuries of artificial barriers. Today, we acknowledge that power officially. I stepped forward, Luria at my side, Aurora floating between us in her bassinet. The energy field around us pulsed gently, responding to our unity. I stand before you as living proof that your assumptions were wrong. I addressed the assembly. I'm the human who fell in love with the assassin sent to kill him. I'm the father of a child who represents not the dilution of emerald genetics, but their evolution. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The purist faction shifted uncomfortably, but they couldn't deny the evidence of their own senses. The hybrid energy field that had defeated their best warriors now served as a beacon of possibility. Your warriors value strength, I continued. Your scientists prize innovation. Your leaders demand progress. Yet you've ignored the greatest source of all three, the power of combining our species' best qualities through love. Luria stepped forward, her warrior's grace undiminished by motherhood. If anything, she moved with more confidence now, secure in her role as both warrior and mother. I was trained to see humans as inferior, she declared. Then one of them surprised me, challenged me, made me question everything I thought I knew. She glanced at me, her expression softening, and in that questioning, I found something stronger than tradition. I found truth. Aurora chose that moment to demonstrate her own contribution, creating small auroras of hybrid energy that danced through the chamber. The assembled delegates watched in wonder as the lights responded to her giggles, forming patterns that spoke of infinite potential. This is your future, I gestured to our daughter. Not a dilution, but an enhancement. Not a weakness, but a strength beyond anything either of our species could achieve alone. The vote that followed was merely a formality. The evidence was undeniable. Human-emerald relationships didn't just work, they thrived. Our daughter was living proof that love could overcome any barrier, even those written into our genes. Later that night, in our quarters overlooking New Eden's bioluminescent forests, Luria and I celebrated in our own way, letting the hybrid energy enhance our connection as it had since that first night together. You know, she murmured against my skin, I never did thank you properly for surviving my assassination attempt. No, I pulled her closer, enjoying how she still fit perfectly against me. So I thought that's what the past year has been about. No, that was just the warm-up. Her amber eyes glowed with promise. I'm thinking we should work on giving Aurora a sibling. For diplomatic reasons, of course. Of course, Yam, I agreed, already lost in her kiss. Purely for the sake of interspecies relations? Aurora's happy gurgle from her nursery seemed to approve of our diplomatic efforts, her hybrid energy field harmonizing with our own in a symphony of possibility. I love you, Luria whispered, her warrior's facade melting into tenderness. My impossible human who turned an assassination into a revolution. I love you too, I replied, marveling at how my life had changed since that morning when a beautiful assassin broke into my quarters, my deadly angel who looked at me and saw forever.